Welcome back to another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. My name's Heath, and today we interview Lyn Stahl from Metalhead Minis. We talk about life, we talk about love, and we talk about Adepticant 2020. Stick around, we have a great time. Thanks. It's recording. I think legally I'm supposed to tell you that it is recording now.
Yeah. This call may be recorded for quality and training purposes.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Welcome to my murder basement. As you can tell, that you get the scary end of the basement and not the fun.
You mentioned it. I wasn't gonna say it. I am a big horror movie fan, however. But I see what you're talking about. Like if you saw the wood there the right way, yeah, there could be a crazy dude with a hockey mask hanging in the corner, and
so
put a rope.
It was basically
a horror movie for you. You're welcome.
I know. Well, it was basically like the basement from The Evil Dead in here. It was when we bought it. Like, it was disgusting. There was this horrible toilet in the corner that was, we don't know why it was there. It was the third bathroom in the house, but it wasn't a bathroom. It was terrifying.
There was no walls, no nothing. You're like, so was this a prison?
Right. Well, there was like a partial stall that was like this, but it only like covered like maybe a third of you. It was. We made them remove it before we bought the house. It was that scary.
I don't blame you. You're like that. So that's gotta go.
And that was like only the like second worst thing in the house. There was like 2 soiled mattresses in the attic that we were like, what happened in this place?
When we say soiled, because there's different kinds of soiled, okay?
Yeah.
There's the gardener, gardened in the yard, didn't bother showering, and just passed out face first in the mattress, and then the dirt stayed. So that's one form of soiling. And then there's the number 1 and number 2, maybe even number 3, all right? And then there's blood. So which one are we talking here?
It wasn't full on Hellraiser, but it was a mixture of like the first 2. It was crazy, and we were like, these have got to go, and that basement toilet has to go too. And it was good because that basement toilet was literally attached to a floor drain. It was not properly vented. It was scary.
So did you have it sounds like you had squatters there.
Well, I think it was the same family that owned it since 1904. And so at a certain point, grandparents were on the first floor, kids were on the second floor, grandkids were in the attic. And I think literally they were trying to figure out a way to make it work with that many people under one roof.
Well, that used to be common during the Great Depression. My grandpa said that when the Great Depression happened, that he had 4 other siblings. So there was 5 kids, his mother, his father, and he said that his grandparents lived with them, aunt and uncle and stuff. And there was like a ton of them living all up in the house, like packed up like sardines and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, definitely that could be a thing. I'm like, of course, right? I'm grabbing paint, so when I'm leaving over to you, it's not so I can put my boobs in your face. Hold on. I had to grab some paint. Okay, sorry. Go on.
Perfect. Well, enough talking about my crazy basement.
Yeah, you got people intrigued right now. Now people weren't listening before. They were like, "Oh, screw it, Lyn's on. Forget it." Wait a minute, soiled mattress. I'm listening.
What?
Right?
Yeah. Well,
Turn the radio back on. Turn it on. Turn it on.
Right, turn it on. Well, I mean, I guess we could go into the portal to hell that's in the attic as well, but that is like I've owned this house for 7 years and I haven't even gone in it because it scares me. I'm a fully grown adult and I'm like, nope, I'm not going in there. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you don't need to be on one of those slapped ham, I call them baloney slappers, but you don't need to be on one of them slapped ham videos, that's for sure. Even
Right.
though that dude seems really, really nice, really cool guy. But yeah, you don't need to be, the next star of one of his videos. You ever seen some of those videos?
I don't think so.
It's always creepy stuff, like top 10 creepy stuff that can't be explained. And a couple of them that it has is like people who are live streaming and doing games, and they're sitting there playing the game, and then all of a sudden somebody sits there and will chat. They'll see something in the background, like a door closed by itself, a shadow person passing by, and they're like, hey, you're gonna die. Hey, look over your shoulder. Crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's literally just where they dumped all their old like school books and stuff. But like I heard scratching in the wall at one point in time, and like I put like a spider trap just inside the door because like we got brown recluses here in Missouri, so I was like, I don't want brown recluses in my studio. And when I always check the traps. The trap was gone, so like something ran into it and then drug it somewhere else. So like whatever is happening there, I am not part of it anymore.
Oh, honey, you need some white sage.
Right?
The power of Christ compels you. Y'all need to get up out of here. Don't
you
live
know,
here no more.
I'm kind of into like, if spirits are here, I would hope that they would be like into this place, because we've turned this house into a really fun home, and I'm not about to run them off. Whatever, they're fine. They've left us alone for this long.
Right? Yeah, as long as that keeps happening. But you need white sage, honey. You let me know. I got it.
You've got a guy. I've got the red brick dust. I've got all sorts of stuff here. We're ready for this.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, with all the insanity going on. So what were the questions? I know you wanted to ask me some stuff and everything, so let's talk. Let us chat.
Yeah. So back in November, I was hoping to run into you because I don't remember how I first got turned on to your channel and your stream, and I think I heard your long YouTube video about what it's like to be a commission miniature painter, and it's such a like you say some really real things in that video, and I appreciated it so much because I think a lot of people. Especially locally, when they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. I'll charge you like $50 to do this entire army," and like every time I hear somebody do that, I'm like, "You are crazy. You are absolutely crazy." And I heard your video, and it was the first time I heard any miniature painter actually talk about price. Like it all just seems so like shrouded in secrecy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was just like really refreshing to hear.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having been turned on to my channel and my stream. I appreciate it either way. Even if we've never spoken, I appreciate it. But I felt it was very important to have that video because I agree with you when it comes to the subject of price. You get one of two things. People either treat it like a taboo subject and treat it as if they're talking about their paycheck. Well, because in essence, they sort of are, right?
A little
they
bit,
don't want to tell you how much they're making. Oh, I charge this for a mini, whatever. Because then all of a sudden, ooh, he got money, or just whatever. And,
right.
Meanwhile, it's no, I have 6 children, and whatever. I have 6 children and an astronomical college loan and a house and cars and everything. No,
right.
Don't be coming to me. I ain't no sugar mama. I splendor, okay, sweet and low.
Right.
But, But no, like people that sit there and they feel like they're talking about their paycheck. Or you get the people who partake in the conversation who are not, most of the time, not educated about how much it should cost for art or that realm of business, right? Commission
Sure.
anything. It doesn't even have to be painting, crocheting, knitting, art on canvas, whatever. The prices are the prices that they are for a reason. And you'll get
Right.
a lot of people, and a lot of the people who partake in the conversation are the customers, the ones that don't get it on the other side of the counter or on the other side of the room, whatever you want to call it. I call it the other side of the counter, it's just easy. Other side of the paycheck, whatever you want to call it. And they don't
Right.
understand how much work gets put into it. They just want to be cheap. Well, I don't want to pay no more than $5 for a mini. Then go find somebody who's not educated about the process and everything else, and you let them charge you $5 a mini. But you ain't gonna have that happening up in here, because I do this full time for my job. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't get that, like I said. So I just felt that there needed to be real information for beginners, because there's more than enough minis for everyone to paint. It's not like I'm taking food out of my children's mouths or somebody else's mouth for that matter by giving that information. Because also by me giving you that real information, that lets you sit there, watch the video and be like, so do I really still want to do this?
Right.
That's the basic. And that's not even all of it, because I've still been planning on doing a next segment one that talks about when you do your taxes and all this other stuff. That's a whole other realm of fun that we've been doing for years and years. Doing taxes is fun. And that alone can also help you decide, do I hire someone else to do it, or do I say screw it and just paint solely for my own enjoyment? Because there's a lot to it,
Yeah.
So I appreciate you watching it and I'm glad it helped you.
Well, it was one of those that, I did the dumb thing that I think everybody does their first one, where that like we do a trade, and the trade starts out like small and manageable, and then by the end, you basically are doing like 38 individual minis for like a board game or something, and you're just like, oh man. And luckily the guy was like really cool about it the entire way, and traded with me and did more things and took care of me. By the end, I felt fairly equitable. I realized that that I had broken my first rule of business, and I've been self-employed for 10 years, and I realized that I wasn't valuing my time or my expertise in outside of work. And so basically I was pricing things out of my own pocket instead of somebody else's, and after that one, it took me like that was like a 3-month commission that made me want to die.
Yeah, see, now mind you, there's nothing wrong with the barter and trade technique, okay?
Oh, sure.
Or the barter trade transaction. Sorry, yeah, transaction.
Sure.
Because especially now with this whole circus going on and people getting laid off and everything, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of that happening, okay? Because that's how some people are going to be able to get by, all right?
Sure.
Tattoo artists do it, and whatever. I got something useful you want. I need something you can help me with. So that's going to work. Just the only thing is creating that balance. How much of that is okay to do? And then the rest of it, you got to have money coming in. But if there's no money coming in, then you can't make your barter trade the only thing you got going on. Unless you're starving and you're painting minis to eat food. Then fine. I'm gonna hate. You know what I mean? But still.
My dad famously put up pole barns for farmers out in Oregon, and he would trade his time putting up a pole barn because he got really good at doing it for an entire cow. And we would butcher the cow and eat the cow. And I was just like, it was one of the craziest things that like I grew up with, that weird balance of the value of his time, and all he knew is that food had to get on the table. And there's a lot of the things that, while at the time I looked at it and looked down on it, I look at it now, I'm just like, I can't believe he killed himself that way to do that. It kind of blows me away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you have a family, dude, you just. I know you're married. You have any kids?
No kids, no.
No kids yet? Okay, well, let me tell you something. There's some kind of magic that happens the minute the kid is born, where a flame, God willing, if you're in your right mind, and I'm sure you are, but I mean, I've seen some people where I was worried, but like if you're in your right mind and that kid's born, there's a flame that goes under your ass, and you just, whatever needs to be done, you make it happen.
Sure.
That's what your dad did. So good on him. But yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
That could be rough.
Yeah, it was interesting. I learned a lot of good lessons from him. Learned kind of what not to do in small business as well, because he loved trading stuff, and in the end, he didn't make the money that he needed to. And like my biggest trade that I've ever done is I collect vintage synthesizers. Besides this whole miniature hobby that we do,
Oh,
and I traded a really cool synth for some framing because a buddy of mine was like, I don't really have the money to do it, and I was like, well, let's make a trade. What do you got laying around, man? And that turned out pretty good for both of us because I've used it quite a bit, and he hadn't touched it in years. So
see, yeah. I mean, you never know. It can help. So I
sure,
understand. I ain't hating on that concept at all. But I'm glad, even so. You'll get the balance. Sometimes it takes some lesson learning, like you did with your first model, and that, or those
yeah,
38 it was, the 38 models. You learn your lessons. You're gonna screw up. I screwed up too in the beginning. Are you kidding me? Forget it. I
sure,
sat there and thought, oh yeah, it'll just take me this much time, or when I first started, and years ago, yeah, it'll take me this time. It'll cost this much. Oh, forget it. No,
yeah,
like
no
those big,
problem.
yeah, like the big privateer press war jacks when they were all done in metal. Huh? It'll take me a couple hours to put it together. Yeah, go scratch your ass. Took me 10 hours. Get out of here. No. I learned my
Right.
lesson real quick.
Yeah. No, I it made me like get really good at things. I will say that, like that drive, and I keep on trying to like push I have a little local hobby group, and I'm like just trying to get them a little bit more, just a little bit more, push yourself just a little harder. And none of them have taken that step to do like commission painting or, challenge themselves for competition painting or anything. And I'm trying to figure out what the good balance is to help people get better, because I can't not try to be better. Like I don't want to be the best, but like I definitely want my hobby time to be easy, and enjoyable. And that seems to be something that is hard to install in other people.
It's not for everybody. It's, everybody has a different amount of get up and go and drive in general. And that's the thing with the hobby too, some people, they don't want to sit there and paint commissions. That's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
That is
Oh, of course, sure.
not for everyone. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, they sit there and they see us, work shows and get paid to teach and whatever. And, we really bust our ass for that. You know what I mean? That's not easy. That takes experience, organization, a lot of get up and go, and having yourself organized, being prepared, and stuff. Just the teaching alone entails like so much stuff. And then
Yeah.
you sit there and you do commissions. That means you never get to paint your own stuff. Knowing that is not for everyone. Another thing
Right.
is too, if you sit there and you're constantly painting for everybody else, are you going to sit there and push to do better on a commission? Most of the time, no. Because one, you got to get it out the door. You want to get paid, and you want to do exactly what the client asked you to do. Now, I get, thank God, a lot of clients that sit there and give me free reign on stuff, which is awesome. But that's not the
Yeah.
case for everybody, especially with armies and stuff like that. So then you're just being stagnant in a sense, and you're just painting the same thing all the time. So what I do is sometimes I'll do things in between, and I like to call those lunch break pieces. And that's when you
Uh-huh.
do something in between to kind of break up the monotony. But then it's your own piece. So if you're going to push to do better, you're more likely to do it on something you own because you picked it out, because you enjoy it and you like it, and that helps.
Sure. Yeah. I just did so I've been like super depressed recently. This whole coronavirus thing has
Oh,
just like completely wrecked me. I had to close my business on Saturday, and while I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to come back, that uncertainty is awful. And so I'm literally staring at, I have a pile of models that I was like working through basing the other day, and I just like left it all on the table. And I'm just like, one of these days I'll get back to it. And so like the motivation thing has been a real difficult thing right now. But every once in a while, like I just grab something out of like my backlog and just like I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna spend the next 2 hours just hitting it as hard and as fast as possible and seeing what I get out of it. And those usually make me feel pretty good.
that's good. And then I was gonna say too, what usually in my experience helps is things like, watching streams can be helpful. Watch YouTube tutorial videos. Like I just posted one up that Banshee put up of how to paint
Mm-hmm.
human skin. He's so good. And so yeah, like watch stuff like that, videos where, and then also too, Hobby Sensei Seth Hampton, he's gonna start streaming on Monday. Man, if you want a life-changing experience, you watch that man, because I'm
Really?
telling you, yeah, he's one of my mentors, like honestly. And when it comes, because he's taught me a lot of stuff with terrain and oil painting and stuff like that. And James Wapple too, so I've done stuff with them. And when I had a question about something, I'm always able to go to either of them, and but yeah, like Jim's wild live streams are great, Wapple. And like I said, Seth starts streaming on Monday. He has a Twitch, it's Hobby Sensei, all one word.
Cool.
And yeah, and those guys, watching them and the things they do, because what I love about Seth is Seth does craziness, just absolute craziness, things that you look at and you're like, dude, you're insane, why do you do that? But then it comes out to be this awesome piece. And then with Jim, Jim paints so fast, it's not even fair.
Yeah.
But it goes back. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, is his speed, is it just technique where he just like, I know how these paints are going to work off of each other, and he just like basically a skipping step sort of thing where he's just like, I'm working these three things all at the same time?
He does all the steps, but there's so one, he was classically trained, both of them were,
Mm-hmm.
classically trained before. Jim used to paint oil and stuff on canvas, right?
Mm.
When he got into like painting minis before he ended up with constant commission, he used to paint models and throw them up on eBay for sale, right? And that's what he
Right.
did for his job, pretty much, besides painting
Wow.
for companies here and there and stuff. One of the reasons he got so fast is because, and the same thing with Aaron too, and other painters that I know, if you don't paint fast enough, you ain't gonna eat. You don't paint fast enough, the lights are going to turn off. And then how the hell are you going to paint in the dark? With candlelight? Bullshit,
Sure.
So, I mean,
Well,
and
you were talking about that wonderful window light, I mean, you could just always just position yourself during the day.
that's in the winter time though, and in Chicago, Jim's got a good advantage on that. Aaron was in San Diego, so he didn't deal with the snow so much, and I'm in San Antonio. I feel like I'll never see snow again. Supposedly it'll snow for like 5 seconds, but it melts as it comes down. So that takes away the joy.
That's no fun.
I
So
know.
how long have you been like commission painting self-employed?
Metalhead Mini started in 2009, so we're on our 11th year right now. It'll be 11. It'll be 11 years in July.
Man, and you started at like a really hard time to start doing something like that, because we bought our frame shop in 2010, and like we were still not out of the recession at that point. It was I always say, if I knew then what I know now, I don't know if I would have made the same decision.
Yeah, no, it was actually a perfect time to open up something tabletop gaming related, and that's one of the reasons why the hobby made such a boom. That was one of the starts, that little push to get up there, go, because when the recession happened, people were trying to find ways to stay entertained and get more out of their money. tabletop gaming was a way to do it. Like let's look at math here. So you go to the movies, right? You take your wife out to the movies. How much
Yeah.
does that run you? You take her
I
at
mean,
night, cute little date night. You dress up all cute. You know you're gonna get a little kissy kissy later. Like how much does that run you?
it's almost always close to $100. I mean, like, just and especially when I was drinking, it was way more.
You see? So basically you get 2 to 3 hours of entertainment, right? And that's $100. Well, you buy a board game for $100, let's say, these days because of how elaborate they are and whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, you can get 5, 6, 7, 8 people involved, sometimes more depending on what you're playing, and you can play that game multiple times. So when you take that $100 and you sit there and you split it and you got 5 people, let's say, that's $20 a person. You play once, then you play again, and then the numbers break down again and breaks down again and breaks down again, right? So things like tabletop gaming or even video games, you buy a video game off the shelf between 20 and $60 depending on the game, and you get 40
Sure.
hours on average worth of play out of it. Sometimes more if there's, you unlock stuff, you can keep doing, like WoW, you can keep playing certain things and whatever, let's say $15 a month.
Sure.
So people were finding
Sure.
ways, to take their money and make it stretch. And gaming was what did that.
That's awesome because I know you started doing eBay really early as well, which I
Around
think that is I used to do eBay quite a bit when I was in high school. I was one of those kids that was like always buying and trading like records and weird like Cannibal Corpse B-sides and stuff like that on there. And like all my friends were like totally confused on how to use eBay, and I'm like, it is one of the best tools if you are driven. And in that early, now it's maybe a little harder, but I still use eBay all the time for stuff. It's the only way I can do it.
Like I for the consignment store for the minis that started in '09 also, but like for before that though I had that same eBay account, but I changed the name, and it was for my guitar shop because I owned a guitar shop before I owned Metalhead Minis.
Really?
Yeah, I was in the music industry for many years. I grew up in music and stuff and entertainment, whatever. So so I was in the music industry for years and had a guitar shop, and we used the eBay for the guitar shop too. Because like there'd be inventory up on the shelves in the stores and on the walls, but there's some stuff we'll throw up on eBay, and then if it sells on eBay, well then it goes off the shelf first. But if someone turns around and buys it in the store, then you're good. It was just another way to reach people to sell all the stuff. So we did that. So I've actually done eBay for a very long time. But yeah, for minis, it was '09. Painting minis, I started that in '97.
Oh, okay. So you had been doing it for quite a bit before turning into your full job.
Yep.
So along the way, before like the commission stuff happened, did you do a lot of competing before that? Was that part of the thing, or is that kind of a new thing for you?
No, the competing was started in '09 also.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I started that in '09 also. That was in May, I believe, of '09. Wait, it's right up here. May 16th, 2009.
You got a trophy sitting up there?
The certificate of merit, it's up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting like length of time to be able to develop your style, because you do have this really rich style. It's it does remind me of like the Technicolor TV thing. I always kind of joke that mine is like Disney on PCP. It's like bright and it's vibrant, but also a little scary. And I think that comes through in your models too, because they always have this like bright, vibrant thing going on. And I've been enjoying your little like toy heads lately. Like,
yeah,
what are those?
I get hired on a lot to do action figure customization too for Mego collectors. That's a whole
awesome.
Yeah, that's a whole other honest to God, that's a whole other big community in itself. And and some of my clients that I do it for have been integrating sort of with the mini community because one had no idea about the other. But let me tell you something, that whole Migo community, that's wild as hell. These people sit there and they take those action figures, those big action figures, and turn them into other like comic books, and make it based on a certain edition of comic book, or based on a movie, or based on a show, or movie, whatever. And there's people that make bank doing like rerouting hair, sewing the little clothes for them to make it more accurate to the storyline, or more canon, whatever you want to call it, and everything. And I love doing those because those are so relaxing for me, and whatever. But yeah, my work, the person who got me started painting customizes Migos too. Has a store for it. Yeah, he has a store for it. It's worldsgreatestsuperheroes.com. And I've known him since I was 17 years old. And he got me into mini painting and stuff like that. And then he does Migo collecting and customization. And he first started teaching me about that when I was a teenager too. But fast forward a few years, I didn't know. Next thing you know, everybody and their grandmother was going to start hiring me to paint them. But I love it. It's amazing. It's so fun.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Well, when I saw him, I was like, I don't know what this is. And like just down the street from me, this new toy shop opened up, and I am terrified to go in because I really don't need another hobby or new things to paint, because I have so much. But when I started seeing your models that you were painting there, I was like, these are really, really fun, and I hope someday I'll get a chance to do it in a way that makes sense.
Yep, that's what it's for. Like if you look on my Insta, there's a recent one of a Dr. Octopus, and I painted the Dr. Octopus head, I think like a couple of months ago or whatever. But like there's sorry, I thought I saw something drop right next to me, but I could be just crazy. That could be, it could be spirits from your house coming into my house. No, I'm just kidding. So so basically you see that there's a Dr. Octopus figure and stuff, and that I painted that head.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that was one of the first ones that like popped in my feed. I was like, what am I looking at? Like, what is this? This is not what I was expecting. So
oh yeah, there's two of them done.
That's awesome. So when I was hoping to run into you, you entered in the girl with the pearl earring painting at Warfare Weekend, which that was like, for me, I had never seen like miniatures painted to the level like Chris Surrey does. Like I walked in there and I had no idea kind of what that sort of dedication takes. And then I see this tiny little, I mean, like it's small. It's like a 50-cent piece. And I was just like, there it is. I didn't know I didn't know I was going to be able to see that because I saw it when you were interviewed by Vince, and I was like, I always wanted to see that in person. And were you doing two-dimensional art before miniatures as well, or is this something that you're just like, I'm going to try this?
No, I've dabbled in it before. That piece that you saw is called a flat. And that's actually something you see a bit more with some historical miniature painters and painters in Europe, actually. As a matter of fact, I purchased that particular flat from a vendor that came to World Expo in Chicago in 2016 from the UK. So I have the girl with the pearl earring, and then Kilted Viking, if you follow him on Twitch or whatever, he's the father of my girls. He has Medusa. I got him a flat of Medusa.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And he's been working on that.
Well, what struck, I was expecting that to have like more texture, and I was really surprised at how smooth it was. And because being a picture framer, I'm around paintings all day, and they are impastoed to hell. They're just textury and weird, and I keep on waiting for miniatures to be like kind of all right with a little bit more of that, a little bit more actual brush strokes and stuff being left in there. And I was really surprised at how smooth it was, and still got that Vermeer sort of like Vaseline sort of look happening. You know, that it was really cool, and I was just like, like, I'm hoping I'm gonna run into you, and it just never did. We probably literally walked around each other like 3 or 4 times.
That would be the story of my life because I'm always busy doing something. So I
Sure,
apologize if I like walk by you. I promise you, not snubbing you. I'm not really the snubbing type. Yeah, there's
sure.
very few people that I would ever do that to, and you and like just about all of you in the industry are not one of them. So, so basically, you won't have to worry about that. It's just I'm always like focused, and I always got 1,000 things going on, or whatever, and that's yeah usually what I'm doing. But no, I'm glad you enjoyed that piece. I love flats. I have old flats also that are from like the 1970s that are
Really?
like medieval characters. I haven't painted them yet, but my friend Gary gave them to me as a gift, and like some years ago and stuff. And I've been meaning to paint them, but I've been painting mostly other people's stuff. So
Right, right. Well, so it's Gen Con that you like organize all of the like painters. It's more than that, isn't it? Like I'm
that's
like missing like
that's
half
one
of
of
it.
them. No, no, I do. Yeah, I do all the miniature painting, the miniature hobby event stuff. Yeah, competition classes, and
Mhm.
the paint and take and stuff. And then I have leadership that I appoint to manage it also, so that way I just oversee. I don't have to be
Sure.
everywhere at once. And they all
Right.
do an excellent job.
S- So, is it always been in your nature to be the leader, or is that something that you had to like fill a vacuum when you like entered into this community? Because I am always shocked at how many people don't want to uh, be leaders in the hobby space. That they kind of wait for everybody else to do it, and I'm like, what? Let's do this right now.
Yeah, right. You're like, why aren't we just doing it? No, actually, I am
Right.
very much wired that way. My grandfather was very much like that too. Everywhere my grandfather was, every job that my grandfather did, my grandfather was always take charge, and he always ended up being the boss and ran the whole thing and whatever. And I ended up just like him. I am very much just like him. I'm just a heavily tattooed, metal listening, more artsy version of what he was. He was more into the mechanics and stuff, and I love cars and appreciate all that stuff too. I know how to do body work and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I ended up just like him, and I always was, appointed the leader. I always would see something was all screwed up, and then I jump in and take charge. Okay, this is not working. This is what needs to happen. Go.
Right. Right.
And I
So
swear it's not to be a bitch. I'm not a bitch unless I
no.
have to be. But yeah,
Well, I mean, that's the way my wife is too, and I'm always the reluctant leader because back when I was always being put in charge of things when I was really young, like just out of high school, like I was a dumb little druggie. I just like smoked pot and I drank and popped pills. I didn't want to be in charge, and I always ended up in charge. So eventually, I had to clean up my act, and I ended up working for a circus, and I was running the ring crew and like trying to keep people from not getting hurt. And I'm like, why am I this guy? Like, who put me in charge? This is ridiculous. But no one else would step up to it, and I'm always shocked at the reluctancy of people wanting to do that. And so, did you start the Adepticant thing?
yeah.
So, I mean,
Me and
it's
Ray did.
awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, Ray and I. Sorry, I'm not speaking Jinglish very well. Ray and I did. I explain it kind of in the video. There was an intro video in the group. I don't know if you saw it, but basically,
I guess.
no, you're fine. So basically, we were sitting there and we were talking about as soon as Adepticon canceled, a bunch of us suffered because of that. Not Adepticon's fault, by the way. I
No,
absolutely love
of
Matt and
course.
Hank. They're wonderful. And all the coordinators are great. So I've always loved doing Adepticon, right? And just like with any business, there is revenue that my company gets from that, as well as
Sure.
Yeji of Snickernack Studios, who was also part of the effort of Adepticant, Nessie from Nessie Knows, Dante, VGCJ Truth, also known as Hood Venture Time. You can find him on Facebook and stuff. And Ray, who his main job is he sets up and breaks down conventions, and he also usually, runs at least one of the booths or whatever while he's there. So when this whole thing happened, you have you have Ray, who's not going to get a paycheck for as long as stuff keeps getting canceled. If there's
Right.
no convention to happen, he doesn't get any work, right?
Right.
That sucks. Now he's working. He still does he still, he picked up something. He still got other work, or whatever. But he picks up odd jobs or whatever, gets whatever he can because he takes care of his family. But still, that's a big thing that he does. So 2 months, no check. Y'all can't live like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my company, with the teaching of the classes and commissions that I do that get handed in at that time and everything, we just lost thousands because of that.
Sure. I believe it.
Yeah, and then Snickernack also, she gets revenue in from her and Clint's business, Nesta for Nessie Knows and whatever. And so it, not just us, but also all the vendors, everything. Like, it's just everybody's all like, there's like literally a bunch of people that have suffered because of that financially. It's a big blow, right?
Right.
Especially for my first quarter and whatever. So I sat there and was like, man, that sucks. Like, as soon as it canceled, we were just like, well, shit, we were just like, that sucks, right? So we were trying to think of a way to revive it, to help people. So the first thing that I proposed the second that it canceled was there's a group chat of us regularly, because Yeji's basically like my con daughter. She's my convention daughter. Her and
She's
Sovereign,
awesome.
yeah, those are my kids. Nessie's like my brother, and so is Dante and whatever. We all have a group chat, whatever. But anyways, I turned around and I said, hey, I propose that as soon as we found out that Adepticon canceled, I said, I think we should do a tag stream, multi-stream thing, just to keep people something to watch, that they could still hang out with us, still talk to us, whatever. So then, yeah, she's like, okay, yeah, that's a great idea, whatever. And then she ran with the execution of it and put together the schedule and got in touch with people and was like, hey, you want to join? So then Ray turns around to me and says, hey, for, that event that happens with the armies and everything, when they put it out in the hall there and everything? I said, yeah. Was anybody going to do anything for that? And I was like, I don't think so. And he goes, well, if anybody comes up with anything, a virtual way to do it, whatever, hey, let's talk about this. So I was like, well, what if we sit there, have people send us in pictures and video clips and whatever, and I can compile it all into one video, and then I can post it up on the Metalhead Minis, YouTube channel. That way, we'll see if people see it and they know it's a legit thing. It's not like a bunch of bullshit of random, pictures from everywhere. So then he's like, yeah, that could work. That could be a good idea. And he's like, well, should we make it a Facebook fan page? He's on the right track, right?
Right.
But here's the thing. I love Facebook fan pages, don't get me wrong. But here's the thing. Unless you give Facebook money or put a lot more videos, because the videos get more views than photos do, unless you sit there and throw money at Facebook, they're only going to make sure that maybe only 4% of your following sees it. That's not a lot of people. So if you sit there and 400 people follow that the page, only 4 people are going to see it? That's not right, right?
No.
So then I said, you know what, Ray? I think I know what we're going to do. We're going to make a group, so that way it's in one central place. Yeah. So because here I am sitting there, and now my mind is going 100 miles a minute. Oh, now we can do this. Oh, we should do that. Oh,
right.
And then, yeah, from the time we started our conversation, in 30 minutes, Adepticant was created.
That's so cool, because watching it has, like, this was going to be my first Adepticon, and I specifically did a Resin Beast entry literally to meet the other like painters. I was like, I know I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna be in the same room with all these people that I've been admiring their models. I get to see them in person, and so like I wasn't even gonna really game. Like I kind of suck at Warhammer, and
Aw.
there's a lot of other games there that I'm also very bad at. So I was like, this is going to be great for me. Get away, meet the community, because it's always been kind of my goal to become more a part of this, and having all this free time now is like making that happen entirely. But yeah, I was like rocked, and my wife was like, "Oh no, I'm sorry." Like she was so like she did not want to be there, and I was like, "You don't have to do this." But she's like, "No, but I want to be there for you. I know what's important to you." And I was like, "Well, thank you. I'm sorry that we didn't get out of town." But as soon as I saw the group, like it was like somebody like set a field on fire. It just like it like went up in an instant, and you could just see people sharing stuff, and people commiserating, and also building people up, and and the support for the artist was like really touching, and I needed it. I needed to see that community rally, and so really all I can say is just thank you for for doing that, and it makes me feel like I'm in the right hobby. This is the right group of people that I could be friends with for the rest of my life.
Absolutely. There's a lot of lifelong friends that I have made since painting and stuff like that I are like we became family and everything and stuff, and it's a really amazing community to be part of. You just got to kind of as they say, weed out the assholes, because there are some in there, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
but yeah, but like as a whole, but mostly it's a very amazing community to be part of. And that was the thing too, like what made me also sit there and think, no, when I told Ray, I was like, nah, dude, there needs to be a group. Because when I was going through Facebook, because I always go through it every so often to share one of his posts or whatever and stuff like that,
Sure.
and check on my kids, make sure they're acting like human beings.
Human beings.
I gotta check. Can never be too careful, even if there are three of them are adults. You never be too careful.
Of
So
course.
anyway, but I just check on Facebook or whatever, and then I sit there and I was seeing one very common thing that I was seeing that actually made me sad. I mean, I was sad to not be able to go. Also, it wasn't just the business aspect of it. It's just I enjoy seeing all yous, being able to put face to names and and stuff like that. Thank people for following us and and stuff like that, and being part of our crew or whatever, and just being with my crew and painting and being inspired and stuff like that. And I was noticing a lot of people were genuinely, honest to God, depressed.
Yeah.
It really like it was bad. It's bad enough that this whole thing is a mess. Like, you gotta stay in your house. Some people in the States that stay in the house 2 to 4 weeks. What? That's hard enough as it is. You can't leave the house. All the restaurants are closed, so you can't just go and sit in Burger King to get away from the kids, or make the kids go play in the play thing and leave you alone for 5 minutes. You just can't. You can't have none of that. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
I live in San Antonio, Texas. There's no traffic.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, but
it's kind of amazing. Yeah. Well, last Saturday when I drove to work, and that was the first real bad day when like nobody came in. It felt like I was like on 28 days later. There was like nobody on the road, and I was just like driving. I was like listening to some music. I was like, this is the worst. Like this is going to be a horrible day of work, and I like it's. I think it's going to take us so long to actually figure out the proper way, one, to mourn for all of our loss, because what's going on right now is a collective loss, of our communities, of our entertainment, of our sanity, of our jobs, our financial stability, and I'm trying to be positive because I know so many people. It's hard, and I'm thrilled that there was something like this for me, just to like make me smile. At the end of the day, I was like, man, this is really cool, and I hope that you guys do make money off of this, and I hope it does help everybody make it through this, because so there will be some sort of relief, but it's not going to make us whole. It's going to be a while before we're whole. And so all of your efforts, I think, are just like awesome. It meant a lot to me, and I'm glad that I am. Even though we're not saying this in person, thank you for doing
No,
that.
you're welcome. Well, here's the thing: we're all in it together. And let me tell you, that whole thing about when nobody coming out. You want to know when? What my youngest asked me. He's like, "Have you ever seen it like this before? Has it ever been in the world like this before?" I said, "Not for the whole world." I said, "But the last time I've ever seen such silence and weirdness and what have you was 9/11, because I was there."
9/11.
Yeah,
Sure.
9/11. Yeah. Okay, so you always sit there and see Manhattan always buzz, but bustle and beep beep and noise and someone's yelling on their phone and ta 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 ta. Well, let me tell you something. The first 4 weeks or so that after it happened, 2 to 4 weeks after it happened, it was so silent in downtown you could hear a fly fart. Like I'm not even joking.
Sure.
It was silent. Okay. And then there was other worse things too that I'm not gonna get into with you, whatever. It's not like proper dinner conversation, I'll tell you that. But
Sure.
I'll put it to you like this: those of you outside of New York, the news only gave you guys 1/3 of the story.
Sure.
Like literally 1/3 of the story, maybe. And I'm probably being generous, but they did not tell you everything about everything that was going on, because it was really, 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 really bad. And this, not say this isn't bad, but I'm just saying that's the last time that I've remembered such uncertainty and weirdness and depression, and and how are we going to deal with this, and I got to get my kids through this, and da da da. So that, yeah, there's definitely that. So yeah, when my youngest, I was explaining, and he knew some about what happened, because he's asked me about that before when they kind of discussed it in school. And yeah, he was just like, really? It was weird like this? And I said, yeah, but think about it. It's like this now all over the world. And he's just like, like he couldn't believe it, and he's 9,
Yeah.
So he was like really deep about it too,
Yeah, we got to figure out a way to not lay the existential dread on our kids. Like that, I have a 13-year-old nephew, and he's already in that like moody teenager thing, and I love him, and I just like, I remember how I was after 9/11, because in like 6 weeks I turned 18. I got my selective service card on that day. I was like, I'm fucking getting drafted. This is the worst. And all of us kids were like, all of us were in collective mourning for New York, and this was the first time that anything like that had ever happened. And coming into this now, I'm watching very similar reactions, but
right.
it's so weird how indiscriminate this virus is. Like, normally people who I don't understand how they've made it to the age that they have, being as not caring for other people, just like even they are rocked. And it's really intense to see that us all have to go through this at the same time.
I
So
agree.
yeah, and we all need whatever we can do to pick people up and make people feel better. I already had one person tell me that my vlogs about like what it's like having to close a store is like bringing people down. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry that I'm bringing people down, but I also feel like it's good to document this for future generations, because the collective human suffering, we all forget about it, and what it really means. We forget how bad things like the Spanish flu were, or the Depression, or 9/11, or the recession. We have such a short attention span things like YouTube can be really great tools for this.
Absolutely. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that that you're documenting what you went through about having to close your store. One, that's sad, and two, people need to understand, because there are some people that just don't, that, like, honest to God, they just don't get it. Like when we put together Adepta Camp, it wasn't just because some of us lost money.
Right.
I sat there, and when Ray and I discussed it, we were like, if we don't do something to put everybody in a central place, to help the vendors, to help the artists, to help everybody all in one thing, or help each other get through this and whatever, then what are we going to have to go back to when we come out on the other side of this?
Right.
We have
Right.
technology, we have information, we have, the tools. So we're going to come out on the other side of it. I don't know
Hell
when
yeah.
or how or whatever, because there's different reports on how long this can go on for. This could possibly go on. There's like different reports. Some say end of summer, 18 months.
I think financially, I think 18 months is being conservative. Just knowing where, well, like when we bought the business in the recession, it had been 2 years since like everything was starting to climb back, and it still sucked for another 2 years. Like it took 4 years for that to start getting back to some sense of normality. And really, we didn't have that equilibrium in our business until about 5 years ago. So, it's intense.
Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be different for everybody at the end of the day. Yeah, but basically, I figured there had to be a way to centralize everyone, let everyone socialize as they would in Adepticon, just in an online manner. Find a place to get everybody central so that they know, hey, when the vendors sit there and put up their stuff, this is where you can easily go to find it, right? And if you're in this group, you'll find it. And then I made the group public on purpose so that people can, because now also, if people are sitting there and they're getting, quarantined, half of you ain't got shit else to do. So just sit there and tell your friends and your family about what you do. Hey, remember when you thought I was a total nerd? Look at all this cool stuff that we do.
Look at all of it. Yeah, right?
This is the time. This is the time. People are right now, people are bored out of their mind. They're looking for hobbies. They're looking for things to do. Some people right now are very lonely, need to make friends and stuff like that. Now's the time.
Right. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Why not? This is the time. So that's why I sat there and said in the video, invite your friends, invite your family, show them what we're about. Look, man, it's no skin off my back. You ain't hurting my feelings. If you turn around and you invite your uncle and he was looking for a hobby and you stick him in, or your brother or your friend or whatever, and they turn around and they're like, nah, y'all tripping, this sucks, and they leave the group, at least they gave it a shot, right?
Right. I agree.
I can't be mad, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had a buddy the other day who's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it, Heath. And I was like, check this game out. We were playing Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. And I was like, just check this game out. It's, I think, in your wheelhouse. And he's now like building a dwarf army for him. And I'm just like, all it took was one thing of just being like, oh, I can do this instead of, just like mindlessly scrolling the internet. Like, yeah, dude, it's great. Listen to an audiobook. Listen to some podcasts. You're going to love this.
Yeah, let me tell you, dude, this is going to, I think you and I can both agree that this whole thing, everything that's happening, this is going to change a lot of things. But I also wanted to make sure that we were all going to have a hobby, an actual hobby to come back to. I don't want to lose people to depression. I don't want our businesses that we deal with to get all our paints and our accessories and our minis and whatever. I don't want them to turn around and close because of something that none of us were able to control, for something that was not our fault or their fault for that matter. Why should there be more suffering than there needs to be? And I'm not saying everybody got to sit there and throw $1 million and whatever. I know that there's some people that don't even know if they're going to have a job at the end of this. That's fair.
Right.
But at least if there's some way somebody can give some kind of support. Even whoever's in a debt can. If none of you can spend money in the vendor hall event of the Bits Bazaar, share it. I made it public for a reason. I don't have any money to spend for this website, but here, I'm going to share it because maybe someone out there might.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. That's
awesome.
The whole reason I put it together. Or that Ray and I put it together. And then, Brandon and, from Kilted Viking, Yeji and Dante and Nessie and Ray, we all joined the cause together, came together as a team. I said, all right, this is what we're doing. And then, Yeji's been keeping up on the streaming schedule. Ray's been getting into contact with people. Dante's been getting streamers set up with all the right stuff, making sure everybody's ready and set to rock. Brandon,
that's awesome.
Brandon has a background in law enforcement, so he watches and makes sure everything is going on safely. If anybody needs help with moderating and stuff, he takes care of all of that. I have a very excellent crew put together.
That's so cool. And like I said, it means so much to me. And I know it means a lot to everybody else. So, thank you to you and your crew. They are.
Thank you.
You're doing the Lord's work right now, and I don't think it can be understated. This is an unprecedented time in this country, and I'm hoping by the end of it, we all come out a little bit more connected. I've been ringing the bell of late stage capitalism has broken us as humans, and we don't look at everybody on the same page anymore. And so I hope on the other side of this we're a better country as well, because it just feels weird. It feels like we've been far away from that holistic aspect of life, and things like this make me feel like we're on the right path.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I hope that we're also more connected as a hobby and stuff like that too, because I think that's also something that's due to happen in this community also. I sit there and I watch everything that goes on more than people think that I do. And I sit there and I see things I'm just saying, because some people, you don't know, I have 6 kids. I got eyes in the back of my head, on the side of my head. I'm watching everything y'all doing. Make no mistake, I find out every time. Okay? I tell my kids, they think I'm tripping. I find out every time. Okay? Everybody talks to me. So anyways, but no, I sit there and I see things like people bringing other people down in the hobby for stuff oh, they painted something, I used this brand of paint, and that brand of paint sucks, this and that and the other thing. For the love of Christ, they're toys, all right? At the end of the day, they're toys. Calm down.
Right.
Stop it. Or the people that sit there and with the Kickstarters, when they start acting all toxic because their Kickstarter's not rolling out in time, excuse me, in case you didn't know, a lot of the products that you buy that are not on Kickstarters, a lot of them dealt with a lot of production hell kind of delays too. You just don't know about it because people don't feel like they owe you an explanation because you gave them $1 or $5, $10, whatever.
Right.
They don't feel like owe you an explanation. They took the profits from a previous thing that they produced, sat there and created a new product, and they went through a ton of delays. They just didn't feel the need. They owed you an explanation. But then when they sit there with Kickstarter, these people sit there and act like half these people that do these Kickstarters are on Amazon or whatever. Now, some of the people, it's, user error, if you will, need to be more educated, process and whatever. But even so, there's much worse things, and they're not necessarily walking off with your money, whatever. And then they sit there and they act there's literally, and this is God's honest truth. I don't know how long you've been around in this, but I'm gonna tell you the God's honest truth about something. There are people who have run Kickstarters, and something would happen. Hey, sorry, we can't get your thing on time. This happened, that happened. Something, what happened, whatever. And then people have been sent death threats, or I hope you get cancer because they didn't get their Kickstarter on time. That's not acceptable behavior. That's not acceptable. And I'm hoping that things like this and coming together, all right, I'm hoping will make people have more of an understanding and have a better sense of humanity. That's like
Yeah.
so important. That's something else that I've been seeing in the community that I think needs to change. People need to
Yeah.
be more humane about stuff because they don't understand when they do stuff like that. One, when you're sitting there acting fool on someone's Kickstarter in the comments or by message or whatever, you're not going to get your product any quicker just because you decided to act like a jerk.
Right.
Sorry,
Right. Right.
just like when people sit there, they can keep checking their watch. It's not going to happen quicker just because you checked your watch and whatever. So yeah, people need to be understanding about that, and they don't understand how much they're damaging people who are running the Kickstarter by doing it, and then they wonder why they don't get updates, they don't hear from the people because they end up
Right.
getting depressed and they avoid the internet
Yeah.
or avoid them.
I've only seen a couple Kickstarters go south, and some of the behavior that I've seen, I'm just like, guys, it's $10. I used to collect playing cards because after I stopped drinking, one of my like weird hobbies was like card magic because why the hell not? And so like I backed a couple decks. Yeah, it was. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of really cool magicians, and that was wild. But yeah, like $10. You lost $10 because this thing didn't go through because of some reason or another, and like like racist, crazy things have come out. I'm like, this doesn't. Like seriously, I have lost $10 doing way stupider things than trying to support someone creative. Like the entitlement that because you invested in this, like it's like I never understood that about that, and I don't understand that about people either. Like just chill out. It's okay. Like we'll move on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. There's much worse things to lose your money on, in all honesty and stuff. And yeah, but no, I've seen it where some of my friends have fallen into an honest to God deep depression, became suicidal or whatever, and would avoid. You can't blame them. Can't be mad because look at how they were treated. I think that's just crazy. So yes, I am hoping that as a result of this. Even though we're trying to find ways to make this positive, I'm hoping one other positive thing that will come out of this, besides more businesses and stuff, trying to get in while the getting's good kind of deal, or like while the stock is lower, I hope that people will have a better sense of humanity for sure.
Yeah, me too. I that's just like my goal in life is like how we can make people, be more humane, and if we can, just a smile can do it, then I'm gonna smile at everybody I see. I don't care. My town it's got a pretty bad reputation, and I know having like people like me just be in it and going to shows and supporting local businesses and just being positive, like it helps everybody else around us. And this is a shared experience. We are all on this spaceship Earth, and
Battlefield Earth.
there you go. Well, Lyn, thank you so much for talking with me tonight and breaking down all the Adepticant stuff. I'll make sure that I put all the links in the description, and I hope that this thing has a long life outside of just this next week, because it's just so cool. And again, thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me too, and wanting to take the time to talk about it. I think it's great, and yeah, I'm really all about spreading the word on this, because the more people we help, the more businesses we help and stuff. I think the better it's going to be when we all try to get ready to come out of this and try to, then trying to get yourself out from under won't be as bad. At least that's the hope for me.
Right. That's the hope. Well, awesome. Do you have anything you want to add before like we end this here, or you feeling good?
No, just please join the group. Tell your friends. Bring your family. If you need more info, contact me. Contact Yeji or Brandon or anyone else in my crew, or go on metalheadminis.com. There's a contact us page on the website as well. No questions, a stupid question, but we're doing it to help everybody. And everybody asked for merch for Adepticant, so there's Adepticant merch now too.
I know. It's so cool.
Thank you. We do it for the
Awesome.
peoples.
That's right. That's right. Well, Lyn, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, if you're going to be at Warfare Weekend in November, I will definitely be there, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person then.
Yeah, you'll definitely see me. I have to be there because that's mine and Gonzo's con.
Yeah, it's your thing. Right, right. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well,
I bought the other half of it in January.
oh,
So
did you really?
yeah, Gonzo and I are officially partners. So More Than Dice.
Awesome.
So it's basically owned by More Than Dice and Metalhead Minis.
That's very cool because it was I met him a couple times just walking around, and I was just like, this guy is such a sweet human being, and he is in a million places all at once. So like, hey, thanks for doing a good job. I'm gonna let you go on, but thank you.
Yeah, he genuinely is a very good man. He's a very sweet person. I'm very glad. I'm very grateful to have him in my life. He's good. He's a really great person.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm hoping to bring out some more players and some more painters so we can make the cool display cases like full with cool minis, and hopefully Chris will bring some more of his amazing dioramas that blow my mind.
Yes. Now Chris is amazing. Suri, he's an amazing artist. Absolutely
It's
an amazing artist.
unbelievable, and being able to see those pieces in person, I was like, wow. I was like, it is just paint on plastic, but it's really good paint on plastic. That's amazing. Like, I love it. It demystified it and made it better all in the same. I was like, this is exactly what I needed.
No, I love him. He's great. Very inspiring. He's great. Just such a talented man.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, Lyn, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I'll definitely hit you up on Facebook and stuff whenever, and reach out whenever anything's good coming up. We'll get the word out.
Thank you so much. You have a good night, hon.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.